I'm Catherine Polly here at the Old Church Gallery. We're beginning our new exhibit called There's the Buffalo. And to introduce that exhibit, we started with this wonderful door at the old Farmer's Supply building, which is now Phoenix Hardwood. But Ernest Bryant, to the side doors, for those of you who have not noticed, was commissioned by Jack Lawson to do this wonderful doors. And Jack loved the buffalo, and his family were stewards of the land for several generations, and he worked with neighbors and friends of the buffalo to see that it was cared for and made sure that it was in safe hands where it would be protected. Ernst at the top included the buffalo from both views, and in daytime and nighttime. So in daytime and nighttime, we celebrate this mountain that is the icon and the symbol of Floyd County. So come on in and see what we're up to. The mountain, Buffalo Mountain, is almost like a centerpiece for the people in the county. And when you're at different places all over the county and in surrounding areas, sometimes you look back and you say, oh, there's the buffalo. So Alice Slusher suggested that for the title of this exhibit. So what we're trying to touch on is some of the heart that the buffalo provides as far as feelings for this county, or an expression of feelings of this county, and how we feel about the mountain. From time to time, someone who has come from some other place where they have these huge mountain ranges, I will say, oh, that's just some little old ridge over there. You ought to see a real mountain. Well, the buffalo, to those of us who grew up in the folds of its beauty, and in its landscape, and in its history, and feel like we're secured by the ridges and the twists and turns that the valleys make as they come in and snuggle us into where we live around it, even if it's several miles away. It's a very majestic, precious thing to us. So I just sort of don't listen to people like that and just smile and go on my way and think, someday you'll realize what it is. But this is what Debbie says. As a child, I made a game of trying to find Buffalo Mountain when riding along the ridges and around the county. Even now, I often find myself searching the horizon for the buffalo. And it's still a thrill to catch a glimpse of it from an unexpected viewpoint. No matter from which direction I'm viewing it, the buffalo is a compass needle pointing the way home. And these works represent a few of those viewpoints. So what we did when we decided to explore the way people feel about the mountain was to invite artists who worked in different materials and different techniques, and also different viewpoints all around, so that we would get more of a widespread vision of what the mountain meant to people. And here, for those who come to see the exhibit, we did work up, and the artists have provided comments about the works that they have provided. Alice Slusher put together sort of an explanation of what the buffalo is physically and emotionally, and in a way sometimes spiritually, to those of us who live here and grew up in the folds of its beauty. One of the things that the way this ends, which is one of my favorite stories, is was sent to us by Beverly Belcher Woody. And she says, my dad, Bruce Belcher, and his fellow Connors Grove friend and neighbor, Jesse Jr. Bolt, were both drafted into the U.S. Army in 1958. Both young men were scared to death, but Junior comforted Daddy by saying, "Bruce, as long as we can see the buffalo, we will be okay." Both men had to report to Roanoke to the induction center, and from there they took a bus on the way to Fort Benning, Georgia. The bus stopped at a Hub restaurant in Martinsville to eat dinner. Daddy said, "Junior," looked at him just as serious and said, "Bruce, I think we're in trouble. We can't see the buffalo anymore." So that's sort of the way my brother, too, when he came home from Vietnam, he said when he topped Indian Ridge, and what he would have seen first is this scene right here, portrayed by Sean Hatter and several people, that scene of coming over the top of Indian Ridge. And he said when he hit there, he knew he was home. This particular wall is holding some pieces from different views of the buffalo. As I stated, this is where a view above Tim Boone's over on up toward Willis Way, and you touch Indian Valley Ridge and go over, and as you go over, this is what you see. Karen Sewell, in her piece, which is totally around on the other side, came up on that unexpectedly one day, and it was sort of snowy, and she said it really surprised her. Each artist had their own particular view, or what feels like home, or expresses the way the buffalo. And when we talk about it, we even talk about it as being a living thing. We talk about its head, or its side, or its backside, or its spine, like the piece by Joel Pratt. I talk about his piece is a view going up the spine to the head. And this is a view from his farm. And it's a salute to his grandchild who passed away, with the initials on the tree and the very, very faint cross that reflects his spiritual feelings about the mountain and about his life and his artwork in general, with the lovely, lovely things. It's like the mountain to us it's not static. It doesn't stay right there in that one place, but it flows out into all these ridge tops and into the valleys and all around the crevices and the crannies, and wraps around us like a quilt, bringing with it spring heads and water and roadways, all sorts of things. These are painted. The photograph, Billy Bell, and here we have Bronwyn Valentine, who has a mystical way of expressing how she feels about the mountain. So there's more of a mystery and all the otherworldness to her expression. This piece, Allison Hatter's piece, she says, "I don't think the wild has ever left Floyd." She and her husband painted the mountain at the same time. And I'm thankful for the beauty here, where we can enjoy these beautiful hills, climb them, and touch the sky by them. When I have the opportunity to be in close proximity to the buffalo, whether hiking to its summit or painting its lovely slopes, it's all encompassing. And I'm reminded of ancient things and our own part in the story. The space between is heavy with time. I don't see the buffalo every day, but the buffalo is there, a dual possession. The roots and the mountain intertwine and run deeply. Now, then we come to an entirely different material, which is stained glass. Now, this piece, we think, according to Amy Phillips, was done in 2003. It was done by my crafts class, and I worked with a group of kids, and we talked about what we thought about the buffalo and what the mountain meant to us. And then we, as a group, did a design that reflected the different seasons and also reflected the artists behind the things that are created. There are paint brushes in here and thing of paint. But here's the buffalo in spring, winter, summer, and fall. And then we included some of the wildlife things that we care about it, and then a central piece of the buffalo also. Roger Vest does what's called slumping, and it's a painterly way of working with glass, and his buffaloes are a lot of fun. There's also a wonderful piece of Roger's in the other room over the window so the light could shine through. And then over your head, there's a small buffalo piece by Lisa Thompson that was brought in, and we thought it was a nice welcoming sign for people entering the gallery for the first time to be welcomed by that. Coming to the other side of the room, you have not only two different views of the buffalo and two different ways of looking at it, but two different positions. This is a painting done with a palette knife, so it has a lot of texture and a lot of thickness to it. And it's very moving. It's very, captures the lively, this thing is alive, breathing, real, that kind of feeling there. So, and this is Ruth Lefkoe. This is Jenny Trainum's piece up here with the fabric. And Jenny was working with the idea of standing on top of the buffalo and looking over. And she's used the fibers and the cloth here to project the scruggly little growths that are around, and then the rock faces here. Seeing Buffalo Mountain from any viewpoint in Floyd County is awe-inspiring. However, for me, the main event is being on top of the mountain. The raw beauty of the windswept landscape atop the mountain and the sense of being in an ancient place fosters an awareness of its spirituality within me. This is a deeply personal experience that is very challenging to communicate in a piece of art. It takes a lot of guts to feel how you feel, to put how you feel about something and what you have to say on a piece of artwork out for anyone to look at it, either to accept or to reject. Both reactions are valid. And then she says, while I began this piece using wet felting technique, I moved to needle felting to finish it. The addition of scrub brushes, she took scrub brushes and pulled them apart to make the bushes and give it a three-dimensional effect. Coming on around, we have a new artist to our community, Sarah Hasty Williams, and she's worked in watercolor. And a view from out close to where Joel Pratt lives, who did the beautiful painting up the backbone of the mountain. Now, Karen Sewell's piece was a surprise to her. And she says she did not know that this view was there, which the view she sees is the one coming over the top of Indian Ridge. But they were out riding one day on their motorcycles, and pop, all at once they were there. And it just shocked her, and it was a frosty, snowy morning. And so she tried to capture that surprise and that time of year. And this is done in encaustic, which my understanding is beeswax that has had pigment added to it. Another view, a good ways from over on Huckleberry Ridge Road, Kimberly Ingram, which is sort of the same view as Bill Boggs down here in his photographs. It's very light and very colorful. Again, it's almost like the landscape flows out from the mountain and wraps around you again, wherever you have settled, wherever you are. Then if we come up to Star Roots interpretations, which are more about community and people and the involvement of people with the mountain, and the buffalo is a living, breathing thing containing living, breathing people who are dancing and celebrating and singing and playing music. And each one has its just, it makes you want to be in there and dance with it, with the images and the people that are inside of it. Or at least it does me. But I, as an artist, tend to be a storyteller. Now, all of these things tell a story, but I tend to, with mine, work something about the community and the people who are nestled within these folds of landscape and beauty and energy that emit from the buffalo. Their stories, to me, are all wrapped into the mountain, so it all becomes one thing. At one place in the history of the mountain, there was, to me, a real tragedy, and it had nothing to do with other tragedies there. It had to do with a very modern tragedy. And I agree, am very happy that the mountain and the lands around it are protected now. However, one of the problems with that protection is that there is no way for a handicapped person or an old person to get to the top unless they're carried. Now, for those of you who have gone that far up, my story, called Heading to the Top, is about Jack Donnelly and Philip Weddle, who were friends. And Jack grew up he grew up in Willis, but his grandparents' place is in several of these paintings overlooking the buffalo, and a place where he grew up and where he was. And he was injured in Vietnam to the point where he was handicapped with his walking all throughout his life. His health deteriorated, and he was he was postmaster at Willis for a long time. We all loved Jack. Jack wanted to go up on the buffalo one last time. Now, with the new rules and regulations, it was not possible to do that. I'll read it. By 1996, Buffalo Mountain had become a state protected preserve, and all motorized traffic was prohibited. But as Jack's health declined, but not his dream, friends tried to get a permit to take him up. State officials denied the request. One true friend, Philip Weddle, defied the state mandate and took Jack up by using his riding lawnmower and made no secret of it. Officers were waiting when they came down the mountain, but after hearing the circumstances, the sheriff declined to press charges. Part of the tragedy of this was that Jack was an American hero, and he was denied his last desire to go up and see the vista from Buffalo Mountain. Now, the officials who visited on the day that they said, no, you cannot go, said, there are other vistas in Virginia for handicapped people. Go visit there. But if you love Buffalo Mountain, you grew up in the area, and you were in its folds the way we were, the vista, a physical vista of land and trees and things and how far you can see is not why we go up. We go up for the vista of our families, of seeing where our great-grandparents and our great-great-grandparents went up and down the road as they went to the store, or they moved their cattle, or they went courting. And that's what we see when we're up there. And that's what Jack wanted to see. And so when I did my interpretation of the buffalo, I wanted to tell Jack's tale. That's a little bit of a pun there, but I wanted to tell the story of Jack in the mountain. So what I did, I have the mountain and I have the flag coming out with the landscape that we've talked about, which comes out and envelops you. And it's a kind of patriotic feeling about this country and about the land and to our noble mountain and the noble people who inhabit the mountain. Jack is here on the back of Philip Weddle's little lawnmower. This fabric is like curtain fabric. And to me as an artist, what I was doing was looking through a window at a piece of history of the buffalo, or one of the many, many, many stories that are out there waiting to be told. So this is what is written. A mountain story true as true, mountain justice through and through. A soldier tried and true wanted to go up his mountain for one last view. A mountain story as true can be. State men decreed, no, no, non-walker, can't be. There are other vistas for the like of you. Or find 8 friends to carry you through. Only a uphill mile or so, we're told. 8 friends to carry you through, a mountain story through and through. Any vista would not do. The view of generations is the one to feel, a mountain story passing through and through. Forged in foothill memories, Mountain Soul had another way. Soldier and friend tried and true, used an any other day mower, red and dear, as a magic capsule guided skyward. The gift of a soldier's view, truth in sight is what he sought. In more descent they were stake caught, a sheriff's gentle pardon set them free. Seasons passed and the arms of 8 friends carried him truly home. Black and white, not always clear. Invisible capes show up in expected places, sometimes on people in plain view. A mountain story, true as true, mountain justice through and through. For our hero Philip Weddle and our soldier true Jack Donnelly, I hope to tell this story again. I want it to come through, but not necessarily the way I told it to you.
Hi, I'm Ayana Lopez. I've been interning at the Old Church Gallery for a few months now, and my first week here, the biggest thing that stuck out to me about the Buffalo Mountain was it took the place as Mickey Mouse for Disney, as Disney, in Floyd County. It is their icon. It is who they are, and it's how they define home.
There's much more in this exhibit, including a slideshow of recent and historical images of Buffalo Mountain. Audio clips from 1999 interviews conducted with people living near the Buffalo are another highlight. Visit the Old Church Gallery in person or on their website with the information on your screen.